Magician of Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday. And I'm here with another Robot Wars one, as it's been a little while since I've done one, and this is one of my own ideas for a change, and that's about Sump Thing. Yeah, the robot that enters the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth floors. And this is about its first round fight against Dominator 2, Hydra and Accident 2. Now, as you know, Accident 2 got taken out quite early on, flipped over by Hydra, and then Hydra kept going after Dominator 2, shoving it around, flipping it over, while Sump Thing was doing quite well, and it looked like it could go to a judge's decision, and then Sump Thing randomly broke down, and Dominator 2 go through. So, yeah, Dominator 2, even though it was the 6th seed at the time, was very lucky to get through. But this is where the scenario comes in. What if Sump Thing didn't break down in that fight? What if all three of them were still mobile, and Dominator 2 was still really unable to go after anyone? I mean, it did strike Accident with the axe, even though it was already beaten, and I think it got a couple of hits on Hydra, but nothing significant. So I think in that scenario, Dominator 2 would have been eliminated by a judge's decision, which would have been a major shock, and would have been the only time in the series where a seed has gone out in round 1. So with this, Sump Thing would go through and then go on to face Smidsy instead, which would be a bit awkward for the two of them because they're tag team partners. You know, they teamed up with each other like in Extreme 1 and 2. They'd probably be like, we can't fight them, they're our tag partners. But I guess there wouldn't have been much choice. However, this is where Sump Thing's other good run would come to an end, because I really don't think it would have been able to beat Smidsy. Smidsy would have just shoved it around all over the place and even used the jaws to flip it over. And yeah, that would be the end of it. And in this timeline, Sump Thing would have only ever won 2 fights as opposed to 1. Just 1 in the original timeline, and that was against Weldor 2. You know, going through with, what was it, Little Fly? So that would be that, and then Smidsy would go on to face Hydra in the Heat final. I mean, it would be a good close match. I mean, Hydra could probably flip Smidsy over, or at least try to, but actually, I don't know, I don't think it would be able to flip Smidsy completely over, and its hammer wouldn't be able to do much damage, so Smidsy would just shove it all over the place, and even again use the jaws to tip it over, even though it wouldn't be easy. And because of the angle, Hydra wouldn't be able to self-right, and Smidsy would at long last go through to the series semi-finals. And hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. And it would go on to face Bigger Brother in the semi-finals as well, but I think would struggle. This is the second time now it's gone up against a flipper robot. The first would have been Chaos 2, who flipped it out the arena. But yeah, Bigger Brother would just shove it all over the place. It would be kind of similar to the tornado fight in Extreme 1. And I feel like yeah, Bigger Brother did end up having some problems later on at this stage, but now I think Smidsy would have been flipped against the sidewall and maybe even thrown out before those problems become an issue. So Smithy would then go into the loser's melee and face Spawn again and Hypnodisc. But no, it is able to withstand the disc a couple of times. But yeah, unfortunately, Hypnodisc would just ricochet off Smidsy instead, and then hit the sidewall and then break down. And Spawn again is, of course, still having some interference problems. So Smidsy would take advantage of this by pushing the pit release button and simply shoving Spawn again into the pit. So Smidsy gets back into the competition and was very lucky there. But now, now the pairings would have to be a bit different, because now we've got 2 seeds and 2 unseeded robots. The seeds being Bigger Brother and Tornado, the unseeds being Terahertz and Smidsy. And so the seeds wouldn't go up against each other, and the unseeded robots wouldn't go up against each other. So to match the timeline again, Bigger Brother would still face Terahertz and Smidsy would face Tornado. We know what happens with the Bigger Brother and Terahertz fight, of course, which just leaves the 2 push bots to face each other. Unfortunately, though, Smidsy is no match for Tornado. Well, kind of. It does alright, but Tornado is just too strong. It's able to just shove Smidsy at the side way too easily, just shove it all over the place, and it just feels a lot more like the Series 7 fight Tornado had with Tetla's Booster. And yeah, Smidsy would eventually go down the pit. So we'd still have the same grand finalists. And we'd still have the same seeds for the 7th floors, but the only difference is Smidsy would be seeded higher. Probably, I feel like the top 4 would still be the same, but Smidsy would be 5th, Dantal Kick 6th, Spawn again 7th, 13 Black 8th, Panic Attack 9th, Pussycat 10th, Behemoth 11th, Exterminator 12th, Bulldog Breed 13th, and the others would stay the same as well, and they'd stay in the same heats, but they'd be played out in a different order, and of course it wouldn't matter because Typhoon 2 still wins the whole thing. So that's basically what would happen if Sump Thing went through instead of Dominator 2. Smidsy would finally reach the series semi-finals, and almost make it to the grand final, but Tornado would just ultimately stop it. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching.